So hey, what's up everyone? Today is the 19th of July and I made a video talking about what I think is some of the most interesting news in video gaming. And that will include Unity CEO saying that developers who don't take monetization early on into account in the game development process are idiots. We're also going to be talking about the UK government deciding not to legislate loot boxes. Skate 4 being a free-to-play game, always online game as a service. Steam is coming to Tesla cars. And Ubisoft prop artist is saying that entitled video gamers who complain on social media are making game releases a complete nightmare. So if you think this is interesting, stick around and let's get started. Unity CEO says that developers who don't want to take monetization into account early on in the game development process are idiots. Unity Technologies, the company behind the Unity game engine, and another company that's called ironSource have recently merged. The reason of the merge was quoted as being introducing new tools in the Unity game engine that would allow developers to track monetization markers early on in the game development process. The website PocketGamer.biz reached out to John Riccitiello and asked him what does he think about developers who are pushing back against the idea of introducing monetization early on in the game development process. John Riccitiello's answer was that while people who think that way might be some of the purest people he has known, he also thinks that they're some of the biggest idiots. According to John Riccitiello, in today's oversaturated gaming market, you can no longer afford to treat games as a pure art form where the developer doesn't worry about monetization and player feedback until the later stages of game development. He's saying that in order to make the difference between a massive success and a huge failure of a video game, you have to take into account things like monetization and player feedback from very early on. John Riccitiello, being the veteran in the gaming industry that he is, he's been in EA since 1997 and now he's CEO of Unity, might be onto something, especially when you take into account things like games like Diablo Immortal that were massively successful despite having very aggressive monetization tactics. Hopefully we don't see gaming head too much in that direction of free-to-play and heavily monetized video games. UK government says it will not legislate loot boxes in video games for now, but it also says it will not hesitate to legislate them if video games companies don't take steps to ensure the safety of players. It starts in 2020 when the UK government asked the Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sports in the UK to make some research on the impact of loot boxes on video game players. In 2022, while it did find some links between gambling and loot boxes in video games, they couldn't prove that loot boxes actually cause people to become gamblers. Since the research was inconclusive, the DCMS just did not recommend that the government legislate loot boxes in video games, but instead it recommended that the industry should regulate itself. So the DCMS ended up not advising the UK government to legislate loot boxes in video games, but instead they issued some guidelines, and those would be that first of all, loot boxes should not be made available for purchase to minors unless minors are accompanied by a guardian. And second thing is that video game companies should make data regarding loot boxes in video games more easily and readily available to researchers so that they can further research the subject of a link between loot boxes and any harm that can occur to players. It also stated that if no tangible progress is made in that direction, then the government should not hesitate to take actions to legislate loot boxes in video games. So unluckily a lot was said, but not much was done. But not all hope is over, because there's 20 consumer groups from 18 European countries that are launching coordinated actions asking authorities to regulate loot boxes. So the fight against loot boxes, at least in Europe, doesn't seem to be over yet. So EA is saying that the fourth installment of the Skate series will not be called Skate 4 and is going to be free to play. For those not familiar with the Skate series was a series of video games published and developed by EA that was mainly focused around playing offline in single-player mode, with the added ability of also joining in online multiplayer games. In 2020, EA announced that it was working on the fourth installment of the Skate series. 2 years later, just a few days ago, they came out with some news regarding the fourth installment of Skate. So first of all, the fourth installment of the Skate series will not have the number 4 in its title. The reason behind this change is probably that EA decided to make a switch from a more traditional offline single-player game to a free-to-play, always online game as a service that's gonna have cross-platform support and cross-platform progression as well. So this immediately raised some red flags with players that started asking themselves on the various social media platforms if this was going to be another one of those cash grabs, free-to-play scams pretty much that are becoming so popular these days. And EA went ahead and reassured everyone that the game is not going to include any kind of pay-to-win elements. You cannot gain any kind of advantage by paying. You also will not be able to buy loot boxes, as in the game will not contain loot boxes. And the game will not have unlockable parts of the map with transactions. Or at least this is what EA is saying so far. We will have to see if this holds true in the future. They also went ahead and released some pre-alpha footage that shows off some of the character and environment models. And while those still need a lot of work, the pre-alpha footage also shows some tricks that you will be able to pull off in game and how the movement will look like, and just gives you a general idea of what the fourth installment of the series is going to be like. EA is also allowing people to start signing up for the playtest phase of the game. The playtest phase not being out yet, and at the moment we can only sign up, but we don't have any news on when exactly the playtest phase is gonna start. And last but not least, EA has also confirmed that the game will be releasing to PC, which makes it the first installment of the series that is gonna be available on PC. For now, there is also no release date yet, and the devs of the game are just saying that the game will be ready when it's ready. Ubisoft artist is saying that entitled gamers are making game launches a horrid experience. Joe Hobbs, who's a lead prop artist at Ubisoft, recently wrote on Twitter that game developers who are open about the titles they work in often get verbal abuse from so-called fans. He also stated that he recently got death threats over a video game he was involved with, which he deems to be unacceptable. He went on to say that fans often ask from game developers to be more open and communicative about their work, but when they often receive all kinds of threats and demands from fans that are completely ignorant about the game development process and that are aiming their anger at the wrong people. Hobbs also said that the harassment they get in social media, beside being completely disgusting, is directed at them for saying almost about anything. He currently advises his colleagues to go on a social media blackout following the release of a title, since fans will be toxic to them no matter what they say or do. Other developers chimed in the same thread and confirmed what Hobbs was saying. Some of them even said that they had people show up at their house and that therefore they no longer are open about the titles they work in on social media. So yeah guys, let's try not to scare away these developers from the various social media platforms. I mean, we're lucky enough to be able to communicate with people who are making products that we love. So let's try to keep it that way. Elon Musk is saying that Steam could soon be coming to Teslas. Elon Musk said in a recent tweet that the Tesla company is taking steps towards the integration of the Steam platform with their cars, and that a demonstration of that could be available as soon as next month. Tesla cars already offer a variety of different video games like Cuphead, Sonic, Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, but now they're focusing on integrating the whole of the Steam platform instead of focusing on specific titles. Musk pointed out how Teslas are the first car that has a gaming computer on the same level of a PlayStation 5. A quick Google search would show that the onboard computer of Tesla cars, which is called the Tesla Arcade, is a 10 teraflop gaming machine which should indeed have no problems running anything that the Steam platform can throw at it. So yeah, for those who can afford to buy Tesla cars, then congratulations, you will soon be able to play Steam games on your Tesla car. Good going. So yeah, that was all for this week's news, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video, and I'll see you next time, hopefully. Bye bye.